Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first Teens in Politics episode, the podcast where teens discuss their views on political issues that are happening in the world right now. My name is Jamie, and I'm here joined with Alfin,
Hey.
Sitlali,
Hi.
Allison,
Hello.
and Layla.
Hey, I would also like to thank Addison, Christine, and Amber for helping us behind the scenes of this podcast. Some of the topics that we talk about can be very controversial. We respect everyone's opinions, and if you find yourself disagreeing, you are free to stop listening to the podcast. Once again, we respect everyone's opinions. Thank you and enjoy today's episode.
Today's topic will be getting to know our opinions, and this episode is featuring a good friend of ours, Amber. We hope you enjoy this episode. You're going to offend someone and then not expect them to do anything about it? You need to see that your actions can cause many things. Okay, you're I fully support BLM. Sometimes, especially with the protesting, it went to violence. That's kind of
That was more of rioting than protesting.
That's true, but I feel like I can have its effect. It gets offensive at times.
Hey, wait. Most protests that were violent were because the police made it violent, okay? It's like
either the police or people pretending to be protesting.
I get some policemen are just racist, straight off the bat. But some not all policemen are white either. There's some Hispanic policemen, there's some African American police, there's some Asian policemen. The BLM, sometimes I feel like we generalize everything too. We're policemen, against them. And it was just because of those 2 policemen that were there when it happened about George Floyd. But then we're generalizing.
Not necessarily. There's a bunch of cases of
there's been a lot of cases there's been a lot of cases where policemen we get that all police aren't bad. We get that there are other races who are also in the police system. But the police system in itself is corrupted.
And they chose to work for that corrupt system. I think you can't. The reason why I say, okay, see, there's a difference between stereotyping and being racist. Stereotypes, there's a difference, obviously, between stereotypes and racism, right? And with white people, I feel like it's more stereotypes, which obviously is not good either. But you're never going to catch me saying, oh, all white people are terrible. You're never going to catch me saying that, because there's Asians who are terrible, there's Mexicans who are terrible, there's Black people who are terrible. People in every race have bad people. So, we're not saying that just because in our opinion, we're not saying that just because reverse racism doesn't exist, that white people are bad. And yes, they can still have stereotypes against them, but it's not racism.
But that's the point I'm going for. It's just
okay, but Allison, here's another thing that you have to remember. The oppressors can't be oppressed. I'm not saying all white people are bad, but white people
they've always been at the top.
Exactly. They've always been at the top because it's just always been that way. That's where
stuff like white privilege comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you guys say that white people are at the top, who makes those white people at the top? You guys do.
Society.
Every single time.
Society
does. Society, sure. You guys are the ones who keep on saying though that the white people are at the top. If you decide that no. You guys make it the truth because you guys keep on saying that.
No, it is true. It's true, dude.
Well, then you guys can change it. That is
how are we going to change the view of all of society that has been like that for years? You know how we're learning about revolution? Literally every important person, in the revolution, for example, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, they were all white people. They have always been at the top since the beginning.
Okay, was Martin Luther King Jr. White?
No. Okay, no, Martin is an activist. He's not white. But he decided, because he's an activist,
to stand up.
Yeah, he decided to stand up because Black people were always discriminated against. Where do you find, when we're learning about American history, when we're learning about, our revolution, where do they talk about Black people? Or
Black people
or Mexicans or Asian people? Where do they talk about them?
Well, are we learning about America's culture or India?
Well, we're talking basically about America right now because it's different in every country, obviously. But here specifically, yes, white people do have privilege.
Well, so I see your point. I do. Okay, we're talking about America's culture. There okay, we have Black Lives Matter going on right now, yes, and it's like an activist.
It's always been going on.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But
So it's just.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So it's to support Black lives, right? Or All Lives Matter. It's to just get Black lives, like, before it was all white people in this country. African Americans were treated as slaves because that's all these white people knew at. Okay. They didn't think these African Americans are like human. They're 3/5 of a person, right? So as these activists and these people and like us who promote this and who talk about this, that's when society changes. That's when society believes, oh, white people are not at the top. There are minorities. African Americans, these are all people too. Like, we as the people change society. We as the people choose society. Okay? Does that make sense?
But we haven't changed society. We're
That's right.
trying
It's a long
hard. We're
process.
trying very hard, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
It's a long process.
Come on, like, Alvin, society, like, it's just always been that way. I mean, like, yeah.
And yes, we're trying to change it, obviously, because we want everyone to have equal rights, as they should, right?
Mhm.
But our goal, we haven't reached our goal yet. So technically, right now, still, white people are still at the top. Yes, we're trying to change it, but it hasn't been changed just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That's a great
I
answer.
mean, I agree with the peace. Like, I support when they're like, yeah, peace. But there's some people who just go overboard and then they're like, yeah, white people, they're doing this and they're doing that. And then that's where like all the whole problem starts. And then people coming from this way and that way, and they just a whole
that is also another problem. But the majority of us are not saying that all white people are bad.
I mean, obviously, yes, there's some people that are like, that say that, but obviously, like, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that is a problem in itself, but the majority of us who are trying to say that reverse racism does not exist and that BLM and all that stuff that's going on, the majority of us know that all white people are not bad. I mean, there are white people who support us, like, you know?
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, question.
Why do you believe that reverse racism is not possible? Because you just said that, like, white people support us, right? So are they not a race? Are we not able to be racist against the white people? Like,
what do you mean?
Okay, so white people, like, are they not considered a race? Like, it's not named white people.
If we go back, most white people, I mean, they aren't necessarily, like, you have to think back to where they came from. They all came from Britain, from England, because right here, or in America, whatever, it was the native tribes that came here first, right? But they all came from Britain, so technically, like, how do I explain this? Yes, they're a race because they're a race.
I mean, it also has to do with like the culture and where you come from too. I know Amber, like me and Amber are like both Hispanic. I don't know about Layla. Like, I don't think you are, right?
Layla's Asian and Alfin's Indian. Yeah.
Okay, so me and Amber, like, we're both Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
And we're over here like Black Lives Matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what is really messed up is that there's white people and African American people, but they're American. And then when over here Hispanics, like, we come to the United States, we get offended by both of them. And like, that's just where like it gets mumble jumble. Like, it's like this whole
minorities deserve, like,
up.
Yeah, it is messed up.
I mean, there's problems on top of problems. Like, there's a lot that society has to work out, you know?
Like, and you know, it's also messed up because like over the news you hear like African American dead and like this happened, and like it's like, wow, yeah, like I noticed. But do you ever hear them talking about the Hispanic people? Where are we? Like, all these Asian people, like what happened to them? But then they're asking for support too. Like, it's like,
well, I guess hopefully they after we support Black Lives Matter and it gets enough recognition and it happens and there's something changed in our law about it, I hope they care about us minorities too. I mean, we did all we could to support them. Yes, we came from somewhere else, but this is our country now too. We as the minorities, we as the people come together to make America. You know, America is not just white people. America is not just Black people. America is people from all places. It is a place with different languages, but place that people can come from different places and survive. It should be a place like that. Place where people can like understand, meet new culture, see new culture, right? And still get together and not get hurt by other groups, right? Yes. Okay.
See, I agree with that, but America's still not that place. I mean,
It probably won't ever be.
I mean, sadly, it's not.
There's always a group trying to. There's always someone disagreeing. Like no one's ever going to be at the same.
I mean, like there's always
No one's ever gonna agree. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, no one's ever gonna really like. Are we really ever gonna have equal rights? Are we ever really gonna have all that stuff? I mean, as much as I hate admitting it, it's probably gonna.
It's actually really hard to get that.
Yeah, and it's probably going to take a while, like a lot more time than we think.
Yeah, because our people have been trying to get equal rights for so freaking long.
I mean, it's not only about race. Like, there's also other communities, like LGBTQ plus community. Like, we're also asking for rights. There's so many people asking for rights. And unfortunately, that's going to take a really long time to fix.
You know, but like I also think it's like messed up. Like, you know, we're asking for rights and everything. Like people are asking for rights. Like some people don't do it right.
What do you
Martin Luther King or like certain activists, like we wanted peace. We're trying to ask for peace, but don't return peace sometimes. We're like, we want peace, we want equality, but we don't even return it sometimes. We just do the wrong things.
You know, in all honesty, if you look at the news and stuff, yes, there are stories about like George Floyd and stuff, but that came after so many people reported it on social media and like it went viral. Like it only happened, the news only felt like responding to that after it was so popular among social media and like us like.
Which that is also a problem because this
they should have covered it from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean this kind of stuff is not a trend. This is about people's lives. This is about race. This is about the people of color. This is about us, you know? Like it's not supposed to be a trend. See, and that just shows how messed up society is.
I mean, now the question is like
yeah, can you please?
Does social media have to do with racism too? Do you think it could prevent racism, or by prevent, I mean like slow it down or like, you know.
Well, I think it can be a cause for both.
Or do you think?
Because I do believe that social media can help or slow it down because
social media is like really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you know, media representation is like super important, very important. Because
especially now that everyone's always on their phones and always checking social media, you know.
But it can also be the cause of this racism and like how, meaning, okay, so if enough people support it, you know, we can be against one race. Like you guys were really against reverse racism. It's not true and stuff. So if enough people will believe in that, they can be racist against white people. I know you guys don't believe that, but there are, you know, as you said, there are people who do believe that white people, like all white people are bad, all police officers bad, all this, you know, stereotypical. So like being said like that, so social media can affect that like enough if the majority believes in that. Okay, so when Trump decides this, right? Okay, we know he supports Proud Boys, right? Proud Boys is like about making this place clean. Okay, oh yeah. So is Trump America's president or white people's president? Because like, just to know, you know? America's, yeah. So America is just not, it's not filled with just white people, right? Right? Because I just want to make sure, right? It has different people. Texas has a lot of, like.
It does.
It has different types of people. So that means Trump is the president of different cultures, like a lot of minorities, right?
But does he respect all of them?
Ooh, that is a great question. Does he respect them? Because he's our president, right? So that must mean like he totally cares about us, right?
He doesn't.
They even asked him. They were like, "What's your opinion on like white supremacists?" No, I was saying like he could have, like I'm not saying like he could have lied, but he could have been like, yeah, I'm like all with the people, but like he didn't even say anything.
The moderator basically was like, "Hey, do you think you can do something about white supremacy or white privilege?" And he basically said no. You know,
Yeah.
like
Dude, do you remember, let's see, when he wanted to build that wall because he didn't want immigrants coming in? Oh, yeah. And then, but remember when he called Mexicans criminals? He doesn't respect Mexicans.
He doesn't. I remember that exactly. He's like over here at the border separating families. Like these children, they have nothing to do.
Exactly. The kids, like, I think there was even cases where the kids had to go to court. And they, like, why do kids have to go to court to see if they can stay or not? Like,
here's another example. Trump on many accounts has called the coronavirus the China virus, which is very bad.
Yes, I agree.
Because that is not, like, there's been many times where he's been racist towards he
said in the debate, he said it.
I mean,
in the debate, he said the China plague.
Exactly. Like, he also called it that. And that's also an example of racism, because that's basically blaming the Chinese for starting this whole thing.
That's as if saying that, like, oh, like, Chinese people, oh, corona, oh, you're Chinese, oh, you have corona. And it's, like, it's not right, basically.
Chinese people are not only the people that are affected by coronavirus.
Exactly.
It's everyone.
Exactly.
So why does he call it the Chinese virus, the China plague, or whatever?
Yeah. Do you know what him calling the coronavirus the Chinese virus resulted in? Do you know what that resulted in? That resulted in people
thinking that it's okay.
Yeah,
to say that.
That resulted in people telling Asians, Chinese people, that to go back to their country, or that it's their fault that this all started.
He made it seem as if racism towards Asians was accepted.
Exactly.
I'm like very with like the Hispanic community. I mean, like, it's just not equal.
I mean, there's problems in every community.
To like that.
Yeah. It's just not good.
Mr. President has a lot of problems, you know.
Okay, but not only is he, like, you know, racist, he's said a lot of things that are not good.
I feel like every candidate that goes up there, excluding Obama, because, like, of course, all of them have something very messed up. But even, like, during the debate, you could just tell, like, he was just telling flat out lies. Like, you could just tell some things in there were not right. Some things were sketchy, you know? Like, same thing with Hillary. But, like, Trump, everyone knows Trump is a big fat liar, honestly.
But people, I mean, it's like, honestly, is it better to choose Joe Biden or is it better to choose Trump? Like, we already know Trump is bad, but we already know how bad he can be, kind of. But today in history class, I was learning about, like, accommodating and stuff. Like, when Germany, were, like, United States, England, and stuff were, like, accommodating Hitler when he was taking over places. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So we were learning about that, like, accommodating. And I was like, wow, when it sounds like that, are we accommodating with Donald Trump? Like, are we letting him do this?
That is true. I mean, we know it's messed up because, like, it's true with, like, World War II because of the treaty they made, basically putting Germany back in its place, basically provoked World War II and the extermination of over 10 million people, 6 million, including Jews. It's just, again, what with Alfin says, like, is it, like, are we doing something wrong that's making him do that? I mean, I guess it's all opinion. Maybe something's very provoking for some reason.
As we were talking about the Jews, do you guys know what's happening in China right now?
Yes. It's very heartbreaking.
And again, indifference all over again.
So we're, like, literally accommodating, right? We're letting China do this, even though we know it's happening, right? Like, what is our country going through that we cannot solve? First of all, we have so much problems inside our own country that we can't support other people outside our country.
There's just so much going on. There's problems on top of problems, and under problems are also more problems. That it's just so. And remember when Lebanon, like, when stuff in Lebanon was happening, that also got a little bit of representation, that also got a little bit of media widespread, but it only happened for, like, a little bit.
But yeah, if it's not trendy enough, you know, it won't be enough of a problem.
It won't be in the news,
but
in our news at least.
Black Lives Matter has been going on for so long, but it's not enough for people to, like, try to solve it.
Exactly.
Because Trump just
there's just always been problems there that just has never reached the media because it's
The
just,
media needs all the gossip. Oh, what's happening with the celebrities right now, right? That's what's totally important. Not like the Black lives, not these like people who are dying, right? Yeah.
which just a side note, cancel culture is very poisonous, or very toxic.
Very toxic and kind of scary.
Don't involve yourself in cancel culture. When they're canceled, no one, supports them. No one,
they get excluded.
Yeah, they get excluded. But sometimes cancel culture can be wrong, and they can
become very intense
and sometimes celebrities or other people can be wrongly accused of something. And cancel culture is very quick to be like, oh yeah, they're canceled. Oh, they're bad. They're toxic people. But sometimes they're very wrong. It actually happened a few years ago and also happened with celebrities like Melanie Martinez and, I don't know, beauty community, James Charles, that also happened to him. A famous TikToker also got, canceled, but he cleared things up. They all cleared things up. Yeah. It can be very toxic.
As I was thinking about this, I just remembered, didn't Trump support LGBTQ before he became president? Or wasn't he, when we were choosing candidates, wasn't he saying he would support it?
Yeah, he did, so. But that was a lie. Because I remember basically once he said, oh yeah, I'll give you guys rights, I support you guys, but that was a lie because
he's not doing that.
Yeah, he's not doing that.
Anyone who isn't cishet, right?
No, Layla, saying that, I believe straight is the most worst, because straight is defined as the correct way. So they're not straight. They're their opinion doesn't matter, or they're not the right way.
If they're not straight, something's wrong with them.
Yeah,
that's what they make it seem.
Yeah, which is what people make it seem. But
that's so much. When you go through problems in this America, right? We have the LGBT community, we have BLM, we have reverse racism, we have, what else do we have? We have so many problems.
There's problems surrounding POC or people of color, other that are beside African Americans.
I like that. POC, people of color.
Yeah, that's called the POC community.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you for listening to our first episode of Teens in Politics. Next week's topic will be on the Black Lives Matter movement. We hope you tune in. This has been
Alfin,
Layla,
Allison,
Jamie.
Thank you so much for listening. Please tune in for our next episode. Have a great rest of your day.